everybody, welcome to another video. As you can see, we're at a red light here, and out there to the right hand side it goes into 3 lanes. Now I want the one on the left, so does the guy on my right hand side. He obviously doesn't like queuing because he knows he should be in my lane. There he goes there. He knows exactly what he's going to do, gonna go and cut me up. I know he's going to cut me up, but I'm thinking I'm going to have a little bit of fun with you, and I put my foot down. You'll see that I drive a little bit faster than what I normally do, but then I slow up. I just wanted to see how much he wanted it, and he wanted it that much. And the stupid thing is, he's just going to run into traffic further down the road, heading towards Putney Bridge. There was another person that did it as well, but I don't think he did know what he was doing because he's one of them. Yep, one of Sadiq Khan's assassins. Yeah, I'm just running it forward just to show you that this guy in front and the guy behind, they're just going to run into traffic. It's here every single day at any time that you want to come down to Putney Bridge, and there it is. I've skipped it forward a little bit because I just want to show you that there is a bus lane sign to the left hand side there, so we can use the bus lane. But there's a car in it. I can see that there's a car parked in it. So there is absolutely no point in going down the bus lane because I'm driving to an obstruction. That car to the left hand side is parked there. I can see it. All of us can see it. That's why we're in this lane. But there is always one person that cannot see it, and he is the one person that should be able to see it because he's higher up than the rest of us. He's in a van, obviously a white van, and we all know how they drive. So we've obviously gone to the rear camera now. You see the bus lane start, and then you'll see this guy. He's come out of our lane to go down there to the obstruction, and then he expects people to actually let him out. No, that's not going to happen.
What do you think everyone's waiting for, idiot?
I'm not letting him out, and then we'll go to the rear camera in a second to see if they will let him out. I have speeded this up because we're in traffic and it doesn't move that fast here. Obviously, we don't let him out. He got through. I think he was in front of one car there. He made one car, but then we get a little sarcastic little thumbs up, you know, like thanks. Why should we? Why should we? Use your bloody brains, mate. So we go back to the front, and obviously, see that car that's just gone into the bus lane there? That's the way to do it. If you want to go into the bus lane, which you're perfectly entitled to do at this time of day, do it the way he did, not the way you do. So he goes down the inside. I get a sarcastic thumbs up as well. And yeah, it didn't really bother me, to be honest. We've got to the end of the road and we're heading towards Putney Bridge now. And there he is there. That's what he was going to. He's going to that shop. He's parked in the middle of roadworks to go to that shop. There he is, running in with a couple of boxes. Yeah, it just shows you your mentality there, doesn't it? Anyhow, we're not here to see that. We are here for something else, aren't we?
Welcome to Tales from the Cab.
So not only will there be a Tales from the Cab, there will be a couple of film locations that I will point out to you in this video. The first one will be coming up very, very soon. I'll also be giving you a little tour around Hammersmith Broadway and up to Shepherd's Bush Green. Anyway, the first film location is there. That church there was the church that was used in The Omen, the original Omen, the first one. And just down there is Bishop's Park, where they also shot another scene from The Omen looking back at Putney Bridge. As you can see here, you can clearly see the bridge in the distance there, which we are on. Now in this scene in the film, the priest is sitting down there telling the guy, can you stop your son throwing sticks in my churchyard? It did get a bit heated, as you can see in the next scene. He's saying, my son would never throw sticks in your churchyard. Well, he obviously does. It didn't end very well for the priest. So we're just about to come into Fulham. After you go over Putney Bridge, you end up in Fulham. And this is where our story starts. This is where I was brought up. I was brought up in Fulham and Hammersmith, Shepherd's Bush, all around them sort of areas, which is just down the road from here. But we are going back in time, way back in time. I cannot give you the exact dates on this, but it is around 1981, 1982, something like that. So, before I was driving, yes, this is, although this is Tales from the Cab, I was on a bike. I was on my bike. Well, in actual fact, I was on my brother's bike. I'd stolen my brother's bike for a bit. Yeah, shh, you don't know that. Now, the reason I was on my brother's bike is because I had a chopper, the original chopper. And my mate, Eric, who I was with on this particular day, had a racer. And there was no way my chopper was going to keep up with his racer. So my brother had a racer and I used that for the day. I'm sure he don't mind. Now, we used to call them racers back in the day. I don't know what they're called now. Just normal bikes, just normal road bikes, that big wheels. But a chopper would have no chance of catching up with one of them. Anyway, me and my mate Eric, we were riding back from where we've just come from over Putney Bridge, and I cannot remember for the life of me why we were over in the Putney area, but we used to get around quite a bit on our bikes back then. Now, me and Eric, we both lived in the same block of flats. He used to live on the 4th floor, I used to live on the ground floor. We went to the same school. We went to the same class. We were in the same class. So he was obviously a genius like me. Now, the thing is, we wasn't even in the bottom class. There was a class below us, but it was just by pure chance that we were F7 and they were F8. There was no difference between any of us. We were just as bad as each other, but they could not have 30 kids behaving the way we behaved in one class. So they split us literally in half, 15 in each. I did that maths all on my own without a calculator, you know. Now, another little story in this, the level of our teaching was absolutely terrible. One of the kids that in my class had really, really bad teeth. They were really bad. And our teacher, one of our teachers, our English teacher, said to him, the way to get rid of that is to drink Coca-Cola. The acid in the Coca-Cola will make your teeth go, will get rid of all that horrible brown shit and everything else on it and make them teeth nice and shiny. That was the level of the people that were teaching us. So, what chance did we have? So the pair of us was about 13 when this happened, and we're getting close to where this happened. I'll give you some idea of where we are at the minute. Our school is just up here on the right hand side. There's a turning just up here on the left hand side, and I'll pause it to show you, just to give you an idea of where we are basically. Down that road there is Fulham Football Club. Literally about 300 yards down that road is Fulham Football Club. If we go a little bit further down the road here, just to the right hand side down this little road here is our school. It's called, or it was called, Henry Compton. It's not called Henry Compton no more. They've changed the name of it. And this is roughly where this incident started to happen. We are turning right just a little bit further down the road. So we've had a little look behind us. The arms are coming out. That's the road we're going down. The arms are coming out, and we've started to move over to the outside part of the road so we can actually turn right. We're doing everything correct. There is nothing behind us whatsoever. There was traffic coming towards us though. It's a shame that bloody lorry's in the way, because I wanted to show you a little bit more what was happening. And you know what I always say about looking further than the end of your bonnet? I think I've probably had this engraved in me from now. Because where that white van is, I noticed when I looked up that there was a car there coming towards us from there, round the wrong side of the bollards, driving roughly, I would say, around about 60 miles an hour, like that. Eric was there. I've already shouted to Eric, move, there's a car coming. He didn't hear me, or he was too slow to react to it. I was already over there. The car was there and Eric was in the middle of the road. Not a chance in hell of actually avoiding this car, or the car avoiding him. No way. Not in the, he was just going too fast, this car. And there was a crash right there. Now, I'm not a religious person at all. I'm really not. I sit on the fence. I don't know whether I believe it or not. I'm one of them. But that day, I do believe I saw a miracle. I really do believe I saw a miracle. Because on that day, I saw Eric fly through the air with his bike. He went so high up in the air, doing somersaults, doing twists, everything. And it was so fast. It happened, as they always say, these things happen really fast, but it did. And he was twisting and somersaulting all over the place. And the miracle was he landed in exactly the same place where he started. Right there, right in front of me, right there. And the thing is, he landed without a scratch on him. Without a scratch on him. His bike, however, there wasn't one working piece on his bike that could be used. It was smashed to fuck. It was completely everything. Every part of his bike was smashed. And yet Eric landed still on the seat, that right there, right in front of me. Now, I've just watched Eric do his Tom Daly impression, turned round, and the car wasn't even in sight. It had gone. It was totally gone. There wasn't. He was driving that fast, and he must have been doing about 60 miles an hour. He was driving so fast that I couldn't work out what car it was. I'm not very good on cars anyway, you know that. But I couldn't tell you who was driving, how many people were driving, what colour they were, anything. I couldn't describe anything about anything other than the fact that the guy was going so incredibly fast. There was a guy that was standing at that bus stop there who come over to see if we were all right, and he did actually say the name of the car, but it's been well over 40 years and I can't remember what I did yesterday, so I don't know what car it was. And I'm just going to play this forward now while I talk about the rest of it, otherwise you're just staring at a blank screen. So hopefully it makes it a little bit more interesting. At least there's something to see while I'm telling you the rest of the story. So remember, this is early 80s, no mobile phones and all of that sort of stuff. We were young, we were stupid. We didn't go around getting people's evidence and all that sort of stuff, eyewitnesses and all of that sort of stuff, which you would do if you were in a car crash or something like that. You would try and get as many witnesses as possible. But like I say, we were young and stupid and everything else. And we just literally picked up all these pieces of his bike, put them on my bike or my brother's bike, and we wheeled ourselves back home to where we lived in Hammersmith at the time. And we got home to our block of flats. I put Eric in the lift with all these bits and bobs of his bike, and then I went home to my place, where I parked up the bike where my brother had left it, and I put it back exactly how it was. There wasn't a scratch on his bike. And then I went and sat on the sofa. My dad was in his favourite armchair as per usual, and I explained the situation to him, what had just happened. And he was listening intensely to the story, as you guys are now, right? And all of a sudden, he just gets up and starts putting his shoes on. And I was like, where are you going? He said, we're going up to see Eric's mum and then we're going off to the police station. You've got to report this. They can't get away with that. We've got to go and report it. So he's put his shoes on and we've gone to the front door. We've opened our front door. And as we're opening the front door, Eric's mum is there and she was just about to hit the door knocker to come in, to knock on our door. It was like, the grown-ups are in the room. So my dad and Eric's mum had a little conversation while me and Eric were fucking about doing our normal sort of childish shit. And then all of a sudden, right, we're off to Fulham police station. Okay, so we jump in Dad's car and all four of us go off to Fulham police station, where me and Eric had to give our statements about what happened on that particular night, quite in depth. But we did it together. That was the weird thing. We did it in the same room at the same time. It was like a joint statement of what happened. They did say afterwards, and it obviously became apparent that it was going to be quite a serious matter, and they were going to send someone round to our houses and do individual statements at a later time. Now, if this case was about today, it would be top news. It would be top of all these Sky, BBC and everything else. It would be all over social media and everything. And you will find out in a minute why that is. Now, in hindsight of being grown up now, I think that they had already caught the guy and they were being a bit cagey. I really do think that they actually already had the guy in custody. the way things turn out and everything, and the way they were talking to us in our joint interview. Anyway, 2 or 3 days later, we had a guy come round, plainclothes policeman, that wanted a proper statement off of me, with my dad there present. And my dad should have been a copper, because my dad was grilling the copper. He wanted to know everything that he knew. And the copper played ball. He was telling him exactly what was going on, that they did find the guy and who was in the car, everything. My dad got everything out of this copper. And I'm sitting there and I'm just telling him the story and everything. So, are you ready for the punchline here? Drum roll and all that sort of stuff. Well, they found the person. There was 3 of them in the car. One of them was a well-known criminal, well known to the police. His girlfriend was also in the car, but they wasn't driving. Oh no. Who was driving was a policeman. Yep, a policeman, a copper, was actually driving like that. The guy, the criminal, was out on bail, and he was late to sign his bail. When you're out on bail, you've got to go to your local police station and sign a form so you haven't skipped the country. And basically, he was all the way where we are now, in a pub, getting pissed up with his copper, who said, "I'll get you there on time." They drove all the way down here, smashing into everything in sight, so this guy could sign his name so he didn't get put back in prison because he was out on bail. This did end up going to court, not just local court. I mean, proper inner city London court. I mean, proper, with 12 jewellers and the judge and the barristers and everything else. The proper business, because the guy pleaded not guilty. He pleaded not guilty. They arrested him in the car and he pleaded not guilty. So now we're going to take a little break from the main story. When we come back, you'll be able to hear my day in court giving evidence against a policeman. So before we get back to the main story, I just want to show you Hammersmith Broadway, the legendary, famous Hammersmith Broadway, and just how much it's changed over the years. All that building in front of us, the whole caboodle there, that wasn't there. None of that was there when I was a kid growing up. There was also another lane here. There was a road that went down there, and they got rid of it. Now, I sort of understand it if they made it pedestrianised on that bit, but they've put a bit there for parked cars, because just over to the left-hand side of that is Hammersmith Apollo, where whenever they do a gig or a show or something like that, around here there's people everywhere. So they could do with some extra space on that pavement, but they put it for parked cars. Get rid of a lane and leave it for parked cars. Very clever. Now we're looking at BMW that's just undertaken us there. Look at the traffic lights. I mean, that's not even close, is it? It's not even close. So you had 2 lanes that normally come out here like this, but there was a 3rd lane that went round close to the Hammersmith Apollo. In my day, it was called the Hammersmith Odeon. They changed the name, obviously. So if you're going, there's only 1 lane here, basically. If you want to go down King Street or going up towards Shepherd's Bush, you need to be in my lane. Everything else turns left. So they've made it 1 lane now if you're going up that way, because anyone that's coming to my left-hand side here will be cutting across. They will be in the wrong lane. So you got 1 lane coming from Fulham Palace Road into Hammersmith Broadway. So you reduced it down from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, then to 1 lane, because of these idiots. None of these traffic lights was here. Not 1 traffic light was in this section. The road layout has completely changed massively. You won't recognise the place. This guy behind me, believe it or not, he's having a think about going there. Yeah, he is. And guess where he wants to go? He wants to turn left. Yeah, and he's going down my right-hand side, and he wants to turn left at the 2nd left turn. Now, back in the day, to the right-hand side of us here, there was a snooker club. And in that snooker club, there was another hall. Oh, I've got to say it. I've got to put myself in it. There was a roller disco there. And yes, I used to strut my stuff in the roller disco there. It's obviously not there no more. But yes, I was up there Saturday afternoons, it was, thinking I was the bee's knees, going round and round in circles, front ways and back ways, as fast as we could. Then all of a sudden, one of us would go into the middle and do a few tricks, and I look back and think, you silly sod, how embarrassing is that? Anyhow, we get back to Hammersmith Broadway here, and as you can see, it's chock-a-block, and it's not rush hour. This is what it's like normally because of badly phased lights, idiots like this guy to my right hand side, another one that wants to go left but he's in the right hand lane. He knows exactly what he's doing, but there's no queue in the right hand lane, so he's going to make our lane worse, which means it has a knock-on effect to the cars that are coming out from the left-hand side here. It does remind me quite a bit of Rose Hill roundabout, where everyone is in the wrong lane, but the roads are marked out well on this occasion. It's just that fucking drivers will not do what they're told. And now, back in the day, none of these road markings was here. There was no traffic lights just behind us there, and it moved better, even in rush hour. Yes, there was a lot of traffic, but it did move better because they've messed everything up. They've tried to improve it, and they've made it worse. Now, there used to be 2 lanes that turned left there. There's only 1 now. There used to be 2 lanes where we're going in a second. There used to be 2 lanes, and all these guys coming up on the right hand side are all cutting in still. And there was literally no traffic lights here. This just moved a lot more smoother. Where the blue lorry is there to the left hand side, you used to have 2 lanes that went into there. Now there's only 1. So all these people on the right hand side that want to cut across and has done it in front of us and behind us, and this guy's trying to do it now. See, back in the 80s, he would be in the correct lane, because we would be over more to the left. There was no bike lane. There was none of them bikes over there to the left-hand side. There was another lane there. So there was 2 lanes going around this corner. But now, because they've made it tighter, he's in the wrong lane, and he knows he's in the wrong lane. Anyhow, we're coming down Shepherd's Bush Road now. Over to the left-hand side, we've got Hammersmith Fire Station. It used to be. It's Wagamama's now. We also had Hammersmith Palais, or Le Palais as it was called later on in life, to the left hand side. Just a little bit further down the road here, we've got Hammersmith Police Station. Spent plenty of afternoon in there, and not how you think neither. That's maybe another time, another story. And speaking of stories, let's get back to the main one as we're heading towards Shepherd's Bush Green here. Let's get back to the main story. So I couldn't tell you how long it had been, but we got a letter in the post with a court date. I had to go to court with Eric to give evidence against this copper. Quite a scary time to actually think that you got to stand up there and give evidence, and not just give evidence against the copper. And the only reason we had to do this is because he was pleading not guilty. I still cannot believe that he was pleading not guilty. So, Mum bought me a pair of new Farrahs. Anybody around the 80s will know what a pair of Farrahs is. It's trousers if you don't know. I had a Pringle jumper bought for me. Mum didn't want me looking like a scruff bag on the witness stand. Now, in the lead up to this, we did have a couple of visits from the police just to go over my statement that called round the house and just had a confirmation of certain things and whatnot, trying to tie everything in, I guess. But yeah, it didn't matter what we were doing or what we were saying. This guy wasn't changing his not guilty plea, which I cannot understand. He's been involved in a hit and run, being drunk, being arrested in the car, breathalyzed, over the limit. Had people in the car that are actually going to court to testify against him, and other eyewitnesses that have seen things before our incident and after our incident, and he was still pleading not guilty. It was bizarre, really bizarre. Now, I did say that if this happened today, this would be headline news all over the country. It really would, because obviously it's a copper that's doing it and all that sort of stuff. The reason being, or one of the reasons being, not even just that, is that the copper was white. My friend Eric was black. And nowadays, anything like that gets catapulted to the top of the list of the social medias and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, it would be absolutely massive nowadays. So now we're coming into Shepherd's Bush Green. Now, this is another one of them places where they've tried to improve things and they've cocked it right up. We got 2 lanes coming into Shepherd's Bush Green here. We always did have 2 lanes coming into here. But look at the road markings. There's 2 lanes. Me and this van should be able to be side by side. But where have our lanes gone? Are we supposed to fit side by side in that gap there? It's just not going to happen. I often wonder, these people that design these new bloody roads, have they ever driven a car or ridden a bike or anything? Anyway, the van here is in the wrong lane twice. You know, he's in the. Why are you in the right-hand lane when you want to turn left? Again, this has happened all the way from Hammersmith, hasn't it? Everyone just being in the right-hand lane that wants to turn left. Anyway, back to the story again. Sorry, I keep going off track. Yeah, we get to court, so we get to start to meet all the people that are involved in that day. Everyone, like the people that were in the car, the well-known criminal that was in the car, his girlfriend, who was, by the way, an absolute stunner. How or why she's with a knobhead like that, I will never know. I almost come close to saying it as well. Yeah. But anyhow, we were talking to them and they were saying how bloody scared they were in the car with this copper that was driving like a fucking lunatic down the road. And there was a couple of other people there that had witnessed things rather than being involved in it and stuff like that. But there was the top brass of the police there. I mean the top brass with their uniforms, with the shoulder things and, you know, all the lines on their shoulders and all that sort of stuff. They were top people there, because of the nature of what was happening here. The only person that wasn't there was the copper himself that done the crime. He was somewhere else. They couldn't put him with all the witnesses, obviously, so he's the only person that we haven't seen so far. And it's kind of weird because at the time you don't think nothing of it, but you got all these top policemen there and they're all chatting away trying to be like your best mate, and maybe they were trying to relax us and all that sort of stuff. But I tell you what, my mum wasn't having any of it. She knew that there was something fishy going on because these coppers were ultra friendly to us, like, you know, and she sensed something a bit funny was going on. I didn't, obviously, because I was a kid and stupid. A little break in the action here. We're just looking at the BMW where it decides to pull over to let someone out. Yeah, not the best place to pull over, is it? Just as well there was no cyclist about. So back to the story. My mum's suspicions were correct. She was bang on. There was something fishy going on. We'd been waiting in the waiting room and the surrounding areas for hours, for absolute hours. All of us just waiting there for hours. And then a policeman comes walking in. One of the top brass guys comes walking over to Eric and says, would £100 be enough for you to get your bike repaired or buy a new one? Remember, it's in early 80s, so yes, £100 would have got you a new bike, because there's no way that bike could be repaired at all. It was smashed to hell. And Eric, being Eric, said, yeah, that I could buy a new bike with £100. They didn't even go and see his mum. They didn't even ask his mum, would £100 be okay? So with Eric saying yes, the copper went, oh, that's great, and off he trots. About 15-20 minutes later, all the top brass left the room. All of them. All walked out. And then it's sort of like, hello, what's going on here? And then they came in probably about 10 minutes after that and said, we're not needed anymore. He's changed his plea. He's pleaded guilty. So what in reality that means is he has done a deal. He's done a deal to get a reduced sentence. And he didn't even get a sentence. What he got was 18 months ban from driving and a £400 fine. Absolutely ridiculous. The guy was drunk and he was involved in a hit and run. He could have killed Eric. No doubt about it, he could have killed Eric or badly injured him at least. But £400 fine and 18 months of not being able to drive. Wow. So we're looking at the cyclist over there to the right, just going straight for a red light. We know that that's what they do. Another one on the pavement over in that corner. On the pavement, it's not a shared pathway, just on there, just to avoid the red light. Yeah, so my mum knew what what was going on there. The weird thing is, after the sentence, we actually saw the guy. He came through the waiting room and the top brass was standing with us. All the top brass got up and shook his hand with great big smiles on their faces, saying, next time we meet, I hope it's under better circumstances. It was like, what? What? You know, what we seeing here? Yeah, they look after their own. I tell you, my mum was bang on it straight away, and she, being my mum, let them know it as well. So can you imagine that happening today? My mate Eric, who was black, being hit by a white copper and only getting £100 compensation to replace his bike. He hasn't even got any compensation really. It's just to replace something that the copper has actually smashed. Yeah, can you imagine that happening today? I can't. So we're going down Askew Road at the moment, and we're looking over to the right hand side. A cyclist. I need my crystal ball.
God knows what she was doing. How about looking this way, then I get an idea of what you are about to do.
So there's one final bit of the court case here that I need to tell you about before I show you another filming location down the road here. It was the expenses form. Obviously, when you go to court, if you've had to take time off work because work might not pay you, you get paid by the court. Now, my mum had to fill out a big form and you get travelling expenses and all of that sort of stuff put in. So my mum, being an accountant, actually worked it out to the bloody penny. She worked it out to the penny. It was sort of like everything that we her days off work that she had to lose money from, the travelling expenses, everything else went on her form. And then you submit the form to the guy behind the counter and they pay you. And they pay you cash back then as well. It wasn't like pay you into the bank and all that sort of stuff. They pay you cash. Now, we're all sitting there waiting for these things to be processed. And then the guy from the counter comes out and he goes to the one criminal and his girlfriend, saying, there is a limit on this, you know, you can only have, I can't remember what the figure was, but God knows what he was claiming for. And he said, oh, that'll do then, whatever the figure was, that the maximum. Yeah, and like he works, like he's losing money from being a fucking toe rag thief, you know, and yet he's there claiming the maximum. Unbelievable. Just when the day couldn't get any worse for total and utter piss taking. Now, you've probably just seen that the video has jumped a little bit there because I reached my destination. I was having a immobiliser fitted to my car, and I can't show you where I had that done because of private property and all that sort of stuff. They get a bit funny about these things. It's the place where I rent to buy this car. So now that's the end of tales from the cab, and now we're back on the filming location. The film we are looking at now that was shot down this road, or some of it was shot down this road, is Quadrophenia. Yep, before they went to Brighton and had a big old punch up with the Rockers, they did a lot of filming around this area, and I will show you some of the parts where they filmed. See them block of flats in front of us? Now you need to keep that in mind for one of the clips that I'm going to show you. Now there's one part of the film where I'm not too sure which side of Shepherd's Bush Market Ray Winston crashed his motorbike before the mods beat him up. Anyone that knows the film, can you let us know whether it's this side or the other side? We're on Goldhawk Road, by the way. It starts on the left hand side, the market. Obviously if you're on Uxbridge Road, it's the other side. So let us know which side it was that he smashed, if you know. Now I'm going to do it in slow motion here because we're looking at that bridge right in front of us there, yeah? So you've got to remember that. You've got to remember the underground station to the right hand side there. These are all parts of this clip that I'm going to show you. It's changed quite a bit. And that white building to the right hand side, it's a coffee shop. It used to be a pub, and the clip I'm going to show you is they're coming towards us there, okay? And there's Shepherd's Bush Market on the left hand side, where I think Ray Winston crashed there in his motorbike in the film. It might be the other side, as I say, but if you know that, let us know in the comments section down below. So here we are. Here's the film bit. As you can see, that pub on the right hand side is now a coffee shop. It's a white shop. There's the bridge that they're going under, and the station to the right hand side. Now, the reason I think Ray Winstone's crashed his motorbike this side is because they did this clip here, and they did the pie and mash shop here. This pie and mash shop on the left hand side here, that is the one that was used in the film, where the lead character and Ray Winstone had a pie and mash in there, as you can see here. Now, they're quite rare to find now, these pie and mash shops. Let me give you a little bit of a history on it. You see him there, he's eating it with a fork and a spoon. That's exactly right. They've done their research correct. Do not go into a pie and mash shop and have a knife and fork. Only Ruperts and Penelopes do that, who think they're Londoners living in their penthouse suite somewhere. Yeah, you eat it with a fork and a spoon. You also smother it with vinegar. Yep, and you do not have it with a can of Coke. You have it with a cup of tea. A Rosie Lee, you got to have it with a cup of tea. That's tradition. Some traditions need to be kept, and that is what you do with pie and mash. Now, the pies are lamb. It's lamb mince in the pies, and they should be a little bit burnt on top, okay? That's Shepherd's Bush Market, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, they should be a little bit burnt on the top. Some poncy bloody chef will say that's charred. No, it's burnt. And obviously it's got a parsley sauce over the top of it, which you eat all at once with the pie and the mash and everything else. You can have it with stewed eels. I personally don't. I prefer my eels to be in jelly. So that's enough about food. I'm making myself feel hungry. This road layout here, as we're coming back into Shepherd's Bush Green, it used to be 2 lanes. Now it's 2 lanes for cyclists and only 1 for vehicles. Yeah. So if you want to go right or straight on, you don't have to go round the Shepherd's Bush Green. Or you can do what he's doing. Go straight through the red light, over there, and do everything that you're not supposed to do. If he's doing that, he should have been on my right hand side, and he should have been crossing there where there is a cycle red light there. So he's done everything wrong. You put everything in place for these people and they still can't fucking do it. Money well spent, isn't it? Yeah. Anyhow, guys, I think I should draw it to a close here. I can do the return journey back home. If you're interested in that, let us know in the comments below, if any of you are still watching this. So with that all done and dusted, thanks everyone for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.